Redeemer's ability requires you to move around and then you backtrack, you know, where you used to be. But Gemini is a weapon that you want to sit back and not move around too much. That's highly unsynergistic. You know, if someone rushes you with like a surge or something into the back line, yeah, you can get out of it because, you know, you're a Redeemer. You can get out of stuns after they hit. But you're just going to do a little jig in the same spot you're standing at, and you're going to be standing right in front of the surge anyway. So it's like, oh, hello. Bro? Is he lagging? I think he might be lagging. What the hell? What? Yo, that surge was acting weird, bro. That surge was weird. This dude is weird, bro. Okay. What's he? Okay, he's just sitting down below. Hello, mines. So, anyway, you know, Gemini is a really good weapon. You could have put it on something that, you know, benefits the weapon, or you could have put on a weapon that benefits Redeemer. In this scenario, they don't really benefit each other, you know? Is someone letting their little brother play? Like, what's going on with that guy? Mom said, pass the keyboard to me, the controller to me. Give me your phone. What was that? I got over the mods a bit. Honestly, this build works. Oh, hello. Because it prevents Redeemer from doing something dangerous. It can't survive dangerous. You know? Like, it really can't. And at what point do you really want to put yourself in a scenario where you are getting stunned, you're taking damage, you can't heal? You can't just decide to heal, right? There is nothing keeping you alive if you decide to put yourself in a scenario where you can use your ability. You should be using your ability if, you know, if something happens to you. You shouldn't be going out of your way to purposefully have your ability to be procced. You know? And so in that regard, using this mech to run in, drop your damage, and then, you know, GTFO, Gemini's is not that weapon, right? Gemini's travel time and distance is so large and so wide, you don't need to put it on Redeemer. You could have put it on something else and you would have been fine. You know, you could put it on a Mimicker. Mimicker is not a mech you want to run in with either, at least has 32 energy. And since you're not running in anyway, it doesn't really make a difference, right? You're not running in with Redeemer because it can't survive those scenarios. And at the same time, you know, the weapon doesn't force it to do that, so it's a good combo, but you could have put it on something else. But, you know, hey, whatever. It's a request. I want to go in for control points, but this isn't the kind of weapon that you rush with, you know? It's not Storm Racks. You know, you got a long lock on it. It's not that great. You know, I don't want to proc my ability, and this weapon does a good job of, you know, allowing you to be like that. The travel time is slow. It's not like you're using missile racks or storm racks. You're going in, you're dropping your damage, and then you're, you know, getting out. No, the damage takes a while. You know, it takes a while to get there. And so the ability becomes a bit moot. You know, it becomes rather pointless because it's not making a difference in the build. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all, like, in any way, shape, or form, because you're not going to be using Redeemer aggressively. You're sitting back with Guided. So the build's just, hey, I put on Gemini, so now I'm sitting back and doing nothing. My ability is not helping me in this scenario. That's what's going on right now. And for what Redeemer is, that's fine. There are very few scenarios where your ability is used in a way that doesn't get you killed. Right? If I'm being stunned by a surge, more often than not, I'm going to be taking some serious damage regardless if I backtrack or not, because you have to wait for the stun to land and then backtrack, you know? That's how the ability works. It removes the debuffs like that, but they have to hit you first. And if I'm in a scenario where I'm being stunned by a surge, I'm screwed. More often than not, I'm done. You know, it's over. And if you don't have, you know, someone with heals, the mech is it's a little pointless because you're not going to be able to run in over and over. You know, you just can't do that. You just can't run in over and over and expect to come out of every scenario alive. It doesn't work like that, you know, without someone healing you. And so when I think of this build like last round, it's like, I can't do much. Like, I couldn't really do anything. Once I took a sufficient amount of damage, that was it. Redeemer's ability is moot. It doesn't matter. Was I spotted? So yeah, it's another one of those builds where the mech weapon combo don't synergize. And yes, technically it does work, but it doesn't synergize. It just works. You know, Gemini's works on anything. You could put Gemini's on a Surge and sit back. You can put it on a Blockhorn and sit back. You can put it on a Lacewing and sit back. You know, Lacewing gets some benefit because it can sit on top of buildings and essentially never be touched. Blockhorn has some benefit because it can boost its own damage and it has 32 energy. Mimicker is in a similar boat. 32 energy, boosts its own damage, but it can also heal and sustain and all that stuff. Redeemer? You're not running in with Redeemer. You're not running in and like standing on top of someone and dumping your Geminis and getting away. No, you got a lock-on period. You have to wait for the travel time. You have to do so much waiting. You're just setting yourself up for failure. You know, this works, but it has absolutely nothing to do with Redeemer's ability. Nothing. Right? You could have put this Gemini on anything else and got the same exact outcome or better. Again, it's a fine build, but it's rather meaningless on Redeemer because you're not going to be running up to people with your Geminis, because if you get stunned, your Geminis don't fire. And then you have to backtrack and you're not doing anything. It's meaningless, you know? Okay, compound Nomad request. A good old suicide combo, you know? You know, without someone healing you from behind. A mech combo like this kind of goes down the drain, you know? Eventually you're going to go in enough, you're going to lose enough health, you're going to die, and that's going to be the end of it, you know? Can't shoot through you. You're in the way, bro. Holy block. Holy block. Get out my way. Okay. What's the range? Well, I can't shoot through him. Holy fucking block. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, the blocks are crazy, bro. I can't. And I don't want to just run into enemies and die. Generally builds like this don't do justice for me because, you know, they are suicide builds like this. You know, Nomad doesn't get a shield when it goes in. It's not like Citadel here, who can constantly put on a buffer, you know, a ridiculous amount of shield to protect itself. It's not like that. Nomad has nothing. It has damage resistance, which means its health is always being chonked. It's always going down, and eventually you will die because you don't have a shield, you know? I prefer Citadel for situations like this because I can always just wait. I can wait to get my shield back and then go in. And I can just do that over and over and over, but with Nomad, I can't do that. I can't wait. What does waiting do? Nothing. I just have damage resistance. It's still my health being hit every single time I go in, which means I need to play every single scenario essentially perfectly to get the best value out of it. You know, meanwhile with Citadel, I can just keep throwing up a shield over and over and over. And the shield is huge. It's like 200k, 270k, something like that. It's kind of crazy, actually, you know, how much it gets. But Nomad doesn't get that. Nomad doesn't get to just run in. You're blocking me. You're blocking me. Good job, bro. Good job. Godlike, huh? Only possible thanks to heals. Only possible thanks to heals. With a Citadel, I could have been just throwing up, you know, shields over and over, and I would have been fine. Technically speaking, I could still be at full health if I was playing a Citadel. Same cannot be said for Nomad. That's why you don't see me use it, because I realize that it's just a suicide mech, you know? You're running in, you do get damage resistance. Yeah, you know, that's cool. But man, you know, a mech like Citadel just does it so much better. So much better. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Without someone else healing me, I consider this to be an okay build. With someone healing me, top tier, because I can constantly go in and be aggressive over and over. But, you know, without someone doing that, it's kind of like I'm spawning this mech because I know I'm going to go in and die. And compound beams, generally speaking, are the best close quarters weapon in the game, because you can 1v1 someone and win every scenario unless they also have, you know, compound beams. You know, you can constantly restun them over and over, and that synergizes okay with Nomad because you can jump right on top of someone, but eventually you will die, right? Your health won't last forever. Your damage resistance, as cool as it is, it won't last forever. But Citadel, constant shields over and over and over. It works very well. Now let's try to make this ability do something with this build. It's a little hard because I would have to essentially be going out of my way to put myself in harm's way to make this ability work. You're gonna shoot me, but you can't shoot me yet. You're turning. Again, like I said before, Redeemer's ability plays like no part in this build. I can get myself out of harm's way if I push up too far, you know, that's cool. But it truly plays little to no part. That's just classic Redeemer right there. People rushing Redeemer getting the fuck out of hell. And everything being hunky-dory because it's Redeemer. Eclipse, oh my god. Being shot from behind. Is that it? Okay. The builds generally are just fine, right? They're fine. The Gemini Redeemer is okay. You know, the Redeemer portion plays no part in the build. It's all Geminis. But the Nomad compound build's really good, actually, until you realize that you're running to your doom every time if there isn't someone behind you healing, because you only have damage resistance and there's only so much resistance before you blow the fuck up. You know, like I mentioned before with Citadel, it can just constantly throw up shields. It can be aggressive and throw up shields over and over and over and over. Therefore, playing smart and only pushing up while your shield is up and backing away when it's gone, you will live for a whole lot longer. Like, way longer, you know, than any Nomad or Vortex ever would, because they are just pools of health with resistance, which is not sustainable. in close quarters.